Top 10 Most Corrupt Countries in Africa 2022. Africa is a blessed continent that ought to be one of the leading continents in the world in terms of infrastructure, technology, and general development. But the reverse is the case. Taking a look at the research index, it is certain that the most corrupt countries of the world are African countries. All that from greed. Corruption is a form of dishonesty or criminal activity undertaken by a person or organization entrusted with a position of authority, often to acquire illicit benefit or abuse of entrusted power for one's private gain. Corruption may include many activities including bribery and embezzlement, though it may also involve practices that are legal in many countries. The Corruption Perceptions Index is an index that ranks countries by their perceived levels of public sector corruption on a scale from 100, very clean, to 0, highly corrupt. The CPI generally defines corruption as the misuse of public power for private benefit. Hello Displorers, welcome to the channel and to another interesting video brought to you by Displorer. If you're new here, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification icon so you won't miss any of our new uploads. Though we can ascribe the cause of corruption to poverty, that doesn't hold much ground, as the poor aren't the ones perpetrating the crime, but the wealthy ones that got their wealth through stealing of public funds, and that is greediness. With the kind of manpower and natural resources in Africa, the continent shouldn't be lagging behind in basic amenities and good life for its citizens. Without much ado, let us provide you with the top 10 most corrupt African countries. Number 10. Somalia. Somalia no doubt features in the list of the most corrupt countries in Africa. The high corruption rate in this country is further facilitated by the unrest, state of anarchy and insecurity in the country. Bribery is also the order of the day, as some government officials allow themselves to be bribed and therefore look the other way when illegal and unlawful acts are carried out. 9. South Sudan. South Sudan ranks on the list because it is especially plagued by bribery. It seems like most things, including engaging in commercial activities, will not be successful unless bribes are given. To run one's business without qualms, one has to have some form of government affiliation, or rather buy it. The judicial system in South Sudan is nothing to write home about either. It is crippled by corruption too, and unable to help the issue in the country. Number 8. Sudan. Sudan is on the list of most corrupt African countries because of the profound permeation of corruption in nearly all sectors of the country, particularly in the economic sector. The corruption in the country also reigns in the political realm, where authorities abuse their powers and favoritism is the order of the day. 7. Guinea Bissau. Guinea Bissau was listed as 7th on the top 10 most corrupt African nations. Corruption has invaded the system and caused a malfunctioning of the otherwise organized government departments. The economy is suffering from this brutal act of corruption, and as a result, poverty is rather more pronounced as the rich buy their way up, while the poor or less privileged are left wanting. The government does almost nothing to combat the corruption that is slowly getting deep roots into the country's judicial, public, and private sectors. Number 6. Equatorial Guinea. Reports survey that corruption controls in Equatorial Guinea is incredibly low. The citizens no longer have faith in the ability and performance of the public officials. This is because these authorities only work for their own public benefits. Well, considering the kind of leader this country has, it is obviously no doubt corruption is the order of the day. Paying bribes to law enforcers and judges for special favors and extra treatment, even in the midst of eyewitnesses, is commonly seen in this country. Number 5. Libya. Ever since the collapse of Gaddafi's rule in 2010, Libya has been thrown into a state of absolute turmoil. The economy fell drastically, and the public and industry sectors have taken a nosedive into a deep trench of corruption. The once booming oil sector is now plagued by corruption and vandalism. The commercial industry is in a constant tug of war with businesses run by the states, as the latter arbitrarily and unlawfully takes over the market and stifles any form of competition from private ventures. Number 4. Burundi. It seems to be that only a societal analysis and a review of policies will salvage the state of Burundi. This is because the current policies and agencies put in place to combat the corruption in the country has failed to dent the burden of corruption upon the country. The corruption rate is steadily on the increase, and is a deep cause of alarm, so much that it has caused a state of unrest and instability in the country. Number 3, Democratic Republic of Congo. DR Congo is a country that seems to thrive on oppression and suppression, especially of those who speak out against the corrupt government or take measures to curtail it. The democratic system in place is rather frail and doesn't challenge the corrupt whims of politicians in the country. The country's internal security is also in jeopardy, as it is not in control of its own armed forces. There is a constant struggle for control and power tussle between the country's already depleted forces and local militia both within and along its borders. Number 2, Chad. In addition to security issues made worse by insurgency, Chad is also perverted by corruption. Its economy suffers a huge blow as a result, and the rule of law is barely enforceable. Many people act in a corrupt light, in a way that suggests that they are above the law. There is, however, an existence of legislation against corruption, with sanctions harsh enough to deter any person. But this doesn't deter the perpetrators of corrupt acts in Chad. They instead target, entrap, and impose these sanctions and punishments on perceived enemies of the government or members of opposition. Number 1, Angola. Emerging from nearly 3 decades of conflict and instability, Angola continues to face major challenges of weak governance and widespread corruption at all levels of society. Corruption manifests itself through various forms, including bureaucratic, political, and grand corruption, embezzlement of public resources, systematic looting of state assets, and a deeply entrenched patronage system that operates outside state channels. The scale of corruption and its management has been considerable in the extractive industries. The government has introduced important reforms in recent years, especially with regard to revenue and budget transparency. It also called for a crackdown on corruption in 2009, but Angola's overall legal and institutional anti-corruption framework remains highly inadequate. There you have it, explorers, our list of the top 10 most corrupt countries in Africa 2022. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share with a friend.